Welcome back to Just Scott Brady on BJPen.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton, episode 123. Got a good lineup at UFC Vegas 73 and BKFC 40, 43. Sorry. We're first going to be joined by Diego Ferreira to preview his fight against Michael Johnson. Obviously, a long time coming from Diego. It's been a long time since we've seen him. He's just been dealing with a lot of injuries. He's lost three in a row, hasn't fought since December 2021 when we lost him to Tuz Gamrot. But you look who we fought. Tuz Gamrot, Greg Gillespie, Beneil Dariush. Those aren't three. Those are three very tough guys. But Diego knows he could be fighting for his job here against Michael Johnson. And this is a opponent he's really looking forward to fighting. He knows Michael's an OG and a tough out for anyone, so he thinks this should be a very fun fight. We're then going to be joined by Chase Hooper to preview his fight against Nick Fiore. Chase Hooper is actually moving up to 155 for this one. He said the weight cut to 45 is just sort of starting to get way too much, but he's really looking forward to this fight against Nick. He thinks this is a very fun matchup, and he thinks this is one where it should be a very grappling heavy fight, which he's really looking forward to. But he thinks at 55, he's going to have more power. His chin's going to be a lot better. He just thinks it's going to be a lot better for him overall. And he's really looking forward to putting on a show and really getting back in the win column here, especially at a new weight class. We're then going to be joined by Houston Alexander to preview his BKFC 43 main event against Jeremy Smith. Houston, it's crazy he's still doing this. 51 years old, 3-0 in BKFC has looked very good, coming off a second-round knock win over the former champion Joey Beltran. Houston doesn't really care for title shots next, but he knows a win here. It's going to be hard to deny him. So really good shot with Houston as always. We're then going to be joined by Loopy Godinez to preview her short notice fight on Saturday against Emily Ducote. Loopy thought maybe if it was going to be short notice, the June 10th Vancouver card where she lives could be a possibility, but this one came up against Emily, and she likes the style matchup. It's at 120 pounds just so she doesn't have to cut too much weight again. And then she said it's kind of good because she gets right back into camp anyways. And then after that, she's going out to Vancouver to help Irene Aldana, and just her fight week happened with Amanda Nunes. Obviously, she trains with Alexa Grasso and Irene Aldana when she goes down to Mexico. And then we close things out talking to Vanessa Demopolis to preview her fight against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. This is a big spot for Vanessa, who's really been looking impressive as of late. Like, obviously lost her UFC debut to JJ Aldridge, and then since then beat Silvana Gomez Juarez in the first round, beat Jenny Fry, beat Maria Oliveira when she was an underdog, and looked very impressive. Now she fights Karolina Kowalkiewicz, who's fought for the belt. Obviously had that stretch where she lost 5 in a row, but since then has won 2 straight fights and come back. And Vanessa knows it's going to be a tough out, but one that she thinks if she beats Carolina, like a rank girl has to be next. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're jumping UFC lightweight Diego Ferreira, who's finally back in action. Diego, how's it going, man?
Doing great, bro. Doing great. Colin, just excited for this fight, excited to be, getting back to the cage again. And, wow, it's been a while, it's been a roller coasters. But I'm excited to be back again.
What has this past year and a half been like for you, not being able to fight and just kind of rehabbing all these injuries?
Uh, it's been tough. One's the injuries always been unhappening now, and been taking me a couple fights, take me off a couple fights, and coming back right now. I took this time like 2 years, taking care of myself, like doing rehabs, uh, learning how to train, learning how to take care of my body more. Um, when we young, like we would just want to go, 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 and I really don't look for the body. And now I see that, and then I took my time this last 2 years to really focus on that. And I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. Like just having the opportunity to be back in the cage again and fighting how I always fight.
When were you fully ready to take a fight again? Like after you had to pull out of that last one last year?
I was waiting for the last for like probably like at the beginning of the year,
Mm-hmm.
but and then Coach Safe was no, let's take a little bit more time. Let's take one step at a time. Uh, let's see how this injuries on you is gonna handle on the training. Let's get like 2 train camps, see how your body adapted back again because it was 2 years out at a complete competition, and he really want to focus on that, focus on not being on the rush to be back and see my body really handle the training and the pressure of the training. And now I can see that.
And then fighting Michael Johnson, like how happy were you to get a guy like Michael, who's a very well-known guy?
It's good, especially because the way he been fighting, the last two, like last fight, he really finished the guy, and a guy been, like he always fighting for a finish, and I think we was similar, always look for a finish or like, die or kill inside the cage, and then it's awesome, have someone to fight like that with no just want to win by points or anything. That you want to go for a war, and I know that's what the fans expecting from me, expecting me to go over there, have a war with someone, and then Michael Johnson is the perfect guy, especially because when he going to the cage, he going for the kill, and get me more excited to get there, get my training too, and then it get me real happy.
Did you ever think during this time off, like you might have to retire and you might not be able to fight again?
Yeah, it did got through my head, like especially I did a couple of tournaments, like just tournaments, before getting ready for a fight. I was like, no, let me see how my body, like my mindset get into that, and I still got it. I feel like I still got it. I still have that hunger. I still have the focus, but it did go through my mind to, like to retire, stop through right here. The body is not hanging the way you all expecting. So it got through my mind, but and then my coach, my team, I was like, no, let's try the last 2 years. Let's see how far we can take it, and yeah, I really, I want to focus on next 2 years that I have ahead of me to really to see how far I can go. I know the pandemic got in our way. A bunch of stuff happened with us fighters, but I want to get this to the last 2 years on my career, see how far I can go, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy. I'm happy just to see how hungry I am just to get on occasion, and that showed to me I still has it. I still have it on me.
So you think you probably have 2 years left then?
I think so. Like like I don't want to push too much. I want to have a good career. I have a I have 5 kids to take care. And I don't want to just focus on me. My kids are growing. They like to compete. They like to be fighting. So I want to give them that too. Like and focus on them is gonna bring me a lot of pleasure. And I like how I am like on my career. I'm focused 110%, and it's good to see my kids coming up like the way they are right now, growing up, having that feeling in competing. And this 2 years, I think I gotta focus on me the most, and after there, see how they do. Is I pass it.
How
I
much
want to take it now. That's the one pass it. That's what I want to take. That's what I want to say. I mention them like that.
how much pressure is on you going into this fight? Like obviously 3 fight losing streak, like haven't fought in a while. Like how much pressure is on you going into this one?
I, I, I can't feel. I have a lot of pressure on me. I think not just a pressure of being a fighter, but a pressure. I want to get a win. For my team. I want to show my team like the right dedication, the right moment. You can be able to get back. Then through this hard time. So for me, I want to show that. I want to get back with that motivation, so I can show them like how much work you put it on, how much dedication put it in. You gotta have your hard times, but a win always gonna bring that feeling. You still there, and that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm really like focusing the most right now.
With Michael, like how do you think you match up against him?
Uh, Michael, I think he's a good stand-up guy. I'm not scared to stay in my feet, and I think his grappling, his cardio. I think it's sometimes he he faded. So I think on those 2 points, I think I have to capitalize on that. Like, and the same thing, I'm a grappler. He's a stand-up fighter. Like that. That's a good. It's a good team. Like, it's a good connection. Not connection. What can I say? A good match. For both of us, and it's a good challenge for me. That's what I expecting to really looking for, and getting the cardio, getting in the grappling part, and getting the win from there.
Do you think you could be fighting for your job here? Like, you need to win this one to remain on the UFC?
Yeah, I would have been at the same spot I've been today. I know this is it. It's a hard step. Because I already have a 3 loss in the road, and I've been in the same spot before when I fought Mercier,
Mhm.
in New York, and I gotta try just stay happy, and enjoy the time. I want to be inside the cage, enjoy those 15 minutes. I don't want to think this is really uh it's risk so I can lose my job, losing the moment I have. But I'm not trying to focus on that. I try just to focus on the momentum, leave it the momentum I gonna have right there, those 15 minutes inside the cage, and give my all, give everything I do. I love for the sport. I think that's what it gonna count. That's what I gonna focus and get me more to get to right, the time, so I can get my W. I think that's where my focus. I'm not looking so much off the point I can lose my job, losing, like,
Mhm.
the opportunity I have. But I think I still gonna have the pressure. Yeah, I do gonna have the pressure, but I think I'm not really focused on that right now. I just want to have uh, those 15 minutes fighting as hard as I
Mhm.
can. See, like, giving my heart and on the cage, and then, man, that's get me goosebumps just to thinking about it. And then I want that. I want to just focus on that. I want to have that feeling back again.
Michael is a pretty durable guy, so like, how do you see this one playing out?
I think it's gonna be a war. I think
Mhm.
I am pictured, like, like how I fought Kabilab on the not Kabilab, Mustam from in Abu Dhabi. I forgot his name.
Uh, the
The Russian. I think that's
uh,
gonna be the type of fight.
the Maribek guy, the Tysmov.
Maribek
Yeah.
Tasimov. I forgot his name. Tasimov, right there. So I think it's gonna be like that. Something tough like that. And I wanna have the feeling. I wanna have those butterfly in, and I think we're really gonna try to scrap. I
Mhm.
think we're really gonna try to really, like, you know go on the ground, stay on the feet, think on the grappling part. I think I don't see this fight going so, like, slow, like,
Mhm.
stay just on our feet. But I think this fight is gonna get a fight of the night, and that's what I want to feel. I want to have that feeling, and then, you know, picture my win, and then I know he gonna try to look for his win too, and I think we're gonna put a great war.
What do you think a win over Michael does for you? Like, you were in the rankings before you kind of had all those injuries, so like, where do you think a win puts you here?
I think the win right now is not gonna put me in nowhere. He's just gonna save my place, just save my place where I am. But I'm looking to get back again. I really I have a couple guys on mine already to call out after this.
Mhm.
Like, I really I want to get back in there. That's one of the most thing I wanted. And a victory with Michael just gonna get my place in there, and from there, gonna take one day at a time, see who's gonna be the perfect opponent for the next one. And I want to jump in the rank. I want to jump on where I used to be. Like, I feel like I lost my momentum after all the pandemic, and I want to grab again. I want to want to be there again, and I see the top fighters. I see, damn, damn, I'm not going too far. Look, Benel, he beat me, and he's in the top 3 right now, fighting with the best, and I feel like I want to be there too. I feel like I deserve to be there, and that's what I'm looking for right now. That's one day at a time.
And just final thing, like, what is kind of the goal then for you this year?
Again, between those 3 guys, best out of 3 right there. That's what I'm looking. That's a really I'm picturing my mind, picturing my dream, and be between those 3, between those best out of 3, and the belt number 2 and number 3 of the title shot. That's my focus on for this year, and I want to take this focus all the way to the end. I want to get there and see how far and how great I can do it.
Well, Diego, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank God, I appreciate it, bud. Thank you.
All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight now, Chase Hooper. Chase, how's it going, man?
Good. Feeling a little more filled out now. Hopefully not as skinny.
I know that's something we talked about in the past, is how you always thought a lightweight move was in the future. Like, did you think it was going to happen this soon, or like was the last fight kind of the last straw for you to find the realize to go up?
It's not even the fight so much. I mean, a little bit, because I can definitely feel that my performance is affected, especially in the weeks leading up to the fight. But so much of it is about the weight cut. Like, walking around at 185, it's not easy to get down, that 40 pounds or whatever to make 145. And I just felt like I could see it in the dieting too. Like, my body would get down to, 170, and then I needed it down even again another 5 or 10 pounds from where I wanted to stop. So I was having to do stuff like, the last week or 2 before I head to Vegas would be like literally only protein shakes. And then I would do little like packets of honey before training. And like, that was the only thing that I was putting in my body, that and coffee. But, I just feel like that was, pretty brutal on my body, and it didn't, it's not like I was gaining a huge advantage from killing myself that early on. I was probably even, making it worse for myself, where now I feel like I'm making down, being 3.5 weeks out. I feel like my weight's getting down there pretty easily, feeling healthy, feeling great. I'm still able to push really hard in training. And I think this move was necessary for sure.
Do you think, like, how good you're feeling now, like maybe you should have been a lightweight from the very beginning in your UFC run?
Yeah, I mean, I go back to it all the time. Is my first fight ever at 145 was my contender fight. Before, even on the local circuit, I was walking around at like 165, fighting at 155. So I was barely cutting anything. But again, I was fighting like, every couple weeks, every month, something like that. So my schedule was a lot quicker turnaround wise. But I think 55, it's nice to be back to something a little more familiar. And the other issue too is that I just, I've been maturing, like, physically, been growing and all that. Like, I think I cut water from like 152 for my contender fight. And now I'm walking into fight week at like, 164, which is, quite a bit bigger. And I think this move is definitely, maybe I waited longer than I should have, honestly, but it's kind of that weird balance of you don't want to move up too quick and be undersized, and you don't want to wait too long and have a horrible cut. But, it is what it is. And I'm definitely happy to be up a weight class.
And then obviously after your last fight, you did the grappling match against Clay, but like, so was this about the right time frame for you to return? Like, I know you're always taking these grappling matches, but like, fighting wise, is this about the right time frame for you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the last fight, that was more, I honestly was too focused on the offensive striking. I didn't give him enough credit for that, being a brawler. And 45 is probably a really good spot for old Steve Garcia, and that's how it is. I never make excuses, but I feel like I would be doing a lot better off in my fights in pretty much every aspect. Being able to push the pace, being able to, take shots and everything. And I think a lot of that will be even better at 55. But yeah, I think this is kind of the right time to move up and the right time to get a fight. I wasn't concussed after the fight, so that was nice. Everything came back to normal. I took a month off sparring, but I was back in the gym, like a week later training. I don't know. I feel really ready to, get back in there, business wise, and just kind of keep moving forward. That's it's the name of the game. You just gotta, kind of dust off and get back in the saddle and all that. And that's where I'm at. In the match with Clay, honestly, I was kind of burnt out after the fight and before that match. But it definitely brought the passion back a little bit. Seeing that I can, go in there and compete with a Hall of Famer, weight class up, who's, been in the game for, decades, like that, that kind of brought me back to being like, oh, I'm actually, decent at this. I just gotta, hammer down and just get back to work.
And then your opponent in Nick Fiore, how familiar were you with him? Obviously just one UFC fight, but I know he works with Rob and Calvin Kattar, and they kind of always talked him up even well before his debut in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody deserves to be here. Everybody's tough. But seeing some of his regional fights, I see that he tends more towards the grappling. He hasn't been, I don't think he really had been pushed on the regional scene, and you saw that in his debut. But against a guy that's, very much the opposite of my style, like a shorter, more jacked, stocky guy that's just, drudging forward and throwing heat in Rebecca. But I think we could have a lot of fun grappling exchanges. I'm really trying to push the pace, trying to, just show everything off and prove that the skill set's there, and that, hopefully I can help prove my case at 55 and show that I still have that momentum going forward. And yeah.
How much better do you think you will be at 55, where these last couple weeks of training aren't just worried about the weight and not really worried about training, where now you can actually focus on skills and actually have energy to do the final couple weeks of training?
Yeah, that's going to be huge. I feel like I've just been needlessly killing myself to make 145, and so much of the focus was on the weight for so much of camp. The last full month, I'm just trying as hard as I can to get all the weight off that I can. And it's been brutal, but no, I feel a lot better right now. And I'm able to focus on, like you said, the skill sets, focus on staying sharp. Because I feel like that was one of the issues at 45, is I would usually feel the worst about my skill set the closer I got to the fight. But due more to the weight cut and the lack of energy and all that. So, I've still been feeling great, and I'm just trying to keep that up and keep that momentum going forward.
I know you've bounced around, you've done stuff with Wonderboy, you've done stuff at other places. Where was the main spot for this camp?
I didn't do a ton of traveling this camp. I've been trying to stay home more. I've had a lot of guys from my gym fighting, so I've been trying to be home more, training with them. That really helps the environment too, and everybody's fighting. Everybody's getting ready for something. Everybody's in, sparring hard, training hard. That definitely helps. So I'm happy with that. Got a little bit of training over in Spokane with Chiesa and Brady and those guys, and that was great right towards the beginning of camp. Getting that little bit of I don't know. They have a specific style of grappling out in Spokane. They're great at what they do, but it's very much non-traditional, I guess, and more wrestler based. But it was great training out there. Got some great sparring in with Mike and those guys, and that helped kind of push forward on the confidence that, again, like that, I have the skill set to compete here, and against a guy like Fiore, and I'm looking to hopefully show that off here in May.
He with Nick, like obviously a lot of his fights on regional scene were grappling. Like, do you think he's gonna shy away grappling you just because like your pedigree and like, or do you think he will try to get in those exchanges with you?
Honestly, I think it's kind of interesting too, being in the position that I am. Like, every other person I fought has had more experience than me. So it's interesting now for me to be the guy that's had more fights, that's had more UFC fights. That's maybe a little more of the veteran in this case. So we'll see. I feel like it's harder when people have less fights to determine what they're going to do when they're in the octagon and all that. Because I feel like the more veteran guys, they're better at listening to their coaches in the fight. It's more, I don't know, they're just more used to it. Obviously, they put the time in. And then in this case, it's going to be me being the more veteran of the guy, more veteran guy in there. So that'll be interesting to see if he, maybe makes some of those choices on his own that maybe his coaches might not want. I think he's a decent grappler, and I think he's going to feel probably pretty comfortable trying to engage. I'm sure he's working a lot of stuff, trying to tailor it more to my grappling style, but I feel like I'm hard to mimic, which helps. And I'm sure after the last fight, his coaches are going to want him to strike a little bit, but, it's just about being more defensive on my side and, keeping that, keeping my head cool, keeping the fight IQ up, not making any, dumb decisions on my end. And then it's, I feel like it's a great matchup for me. And I love going against more, jiu-jitsu based guys. He's a black belt. I feel like that's great for highlight stuff. Like, you don't get into those types of scrambling exchanges against wrestlers. They're going to more try to counter what you're doing versus a guy that is more jiu-jitsu based that might, kind of jump into the flow with you a little bit, get some cool scrambles, some fun submission opportunities, whatever. And I think it's a great fight.
How much pressure, if any at all, is on you in this one? Like, obviously coming off the loss, changing weight classes, like, do you think there is a lot of pressure? Is there not any at all on you?
I mean, no more than I put on myself anyways. I feel like I'm starting to get there, honestly, where I'm feeling more comfortable in the octagon, more comfortable with like UFC and the whole show, what fight week becomes, like the whole busy schedule that you have, all that. The routine now, I feel like I'm getting more comfortable with that, and that helps with the pressure a little bit. But honestly, I was really focusing on the past couple fights on making it easier for myself mentally. And I kind of felt that wasn't getting me as amped up as I'd been in previous fights. So I was more focused on trying not to feel the fear, like the angst, that type of thing, like the anxiety. So honestly, this camp, I'm trying to just kind of let that flow again a little bit. I'm trying to be more anxious. I'm trying to be more fearful. I feel like, you fight a lot better when the consequences are high and when you're feeling that pressure a little bit. So yeah, really, like it's hard to tell this far out, but I'm sure fight night I'll feel the energy, be more amped up, and hopefully I'll have that little bit of adrenaline going out there again. And I think I'll perform even better if I'm feeling nervous.
How do you kind of see it playing out? Like, we kind of talked about it a bit. Like, both you guys are pretty good grapplers. Like, he's a pretty durable guy. Like, he took some good shots from Rebecca's. Like, how do you kind of see it playing out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot of the stuff that I am this camp for a reason. Same thing with the last camp though. Like I'm very cardio focused. I feel like that was something that seemed kind of suspect. I really want to push the pace, but I want to do that with everybody. I'm not a knockout puncher. If a guy falls into it, maybe I can clip somebody, but I'm not a knockout guy. I'm not super strong. I'm not super explosive, but I'm a grinder. I've got a good pace, and I want to keep that for 15 minutes, as long as it takes. Just keep that high defense on the feet. Focus more on that than I am trying to, throw any crazy strikes or anything. And just, drag him into deep waters, try to wear him out. And try to, again, like be the more veteran guy in this fight. I feel like I have the skill set to win this fight and to make it look good, but it's just applying that.
Mhm.
It's making sure that I'm able to deal with that, in the moment, because we all have great training sessions in the camp. Everybody's like, oh, I wish that was the fight. If I sparred like that in the fight, it'd be perfect. It'd be an easy night. But you never know how you're going to compete when the pressure's actually on. So it's going to be on me to just, put all those gears into motion and again, if I fight the way that I've been training, I feel like it's a good night for me.
Just a couple more things. Like, obviously, lightweight debut in the UFC. So, like, you go out there and beat Nick. Like, where do you think that puts you in a division? Or, like, are you really not too worried about that right now?
Honestly, not super worried. I'm not trying to be one of these guys that's like, oh, I'm trying to do this by this age. UFC is really more of a marathon than a sprint, hopefully. So it's, again, like trying to plan long term, trying to, again, build these skill sets, build the experience, build yourself up to the level of the competition. But I would love to fight a lot more of like the grapplers at 55. Like more, there's some fun jiu-jitsu guys out there. There's some fun submission artists. I would like a couple of those fights, but just got to get through this one first. Got to prove that I'm, that I deserve to be here. Got to keep my spot on the roster, and then we can start looking around from there. But yeah, I think I'd like to fight more grapplers and put on more fun fights, again, while I'm building my other two skill sets, building up the wrestling, building up the striking, and fighting some of these cool grapplers at 55, some jiu-jitsu guys that'll be willing to engage in that with you, somebody that's confident in their own side of the grappling, which we'll see if how Nick's feeling about it, but hopefully we can start that here on the 20th. Start showing off the grappling and pushing that pace.
You said there, keep your roster spot. Like, do you think you could be fighting for your job here then?
I don't know. That's just the way that I feel. I always feel like I'm fighting for my job. I don't know. UFC is just so cutthroat that I'd rather be a pessimist than an optimist about it. I'd rather feel that pressure of being like, okay, if I don't win this fight, that's it, than, being like, okay, whatever happens. But that's how I've always done fighting. I've always been the pessimist. I would go in there expecting to lose, and then you win, and it's a nice surprise. But, probably not the best way to look at it. But, again, it keeps me in that mindset. It keeps me hungry. It keeps me feeling like I need to win for more than just my ego. It makes it feel a lot more important to me, and that's just the way I operate. And I feel like it's worked out so far.
Just two more things. Like, obviously you are getting bigger. So, like, do you think 45 is like completely ruled out, or do you think like there might be a chance down the line where you maybe go back down?
No, I started eating meat again too, which was kind of the issue at 45. So I had to stay more on like vegetarian diet. Like I was eating eggs a little bit, but I had to keep my calories, and like I had to really restrict myself outside of camp. And I was still like growing a lot more. Honestly, the last diet, I was like, this sucks. I do not want to do this. And the one before that too. But it is what it is. And I think we'll see better fights from me, like when I'm having to cut less weight more than anything. All my fights, again, beforehand, before having to cut to 45, I felt great. I was able to push the pace. I wasn't killing myself to make weight. And I think that's what it's about. You have some of these guys that, like say at Colby Covington, that you see pictures of him against, 55ers. He looks really small. He looks maybe smaller than even some of the 55ers in UFC, but a guy that doesn't have to cut as much weight, he's able to, again, push that pace, have that crazy wrestling cardio, and, maybe not dealing with as many nagging injuries through the camp, is able to stay healthier. That's really what I'm looking to do is, especially being younger, I'm not trying to destroy my body right now, get any like osteoporosis or anything from, all this crazy amount of starving myself. So I'm trying to do it right.
And then just final thing, like what is kind of the goal then for you this year?
Honestly, I would say the goal is obviously win this fight, and then just, keep that momentum going. I've had a little bit of bouncing back and forth in UFC. I won't make any excuses. I'm not going to say, oh, it's because of this, because of that. There's not, I don't know, it doesn't matter. The win or lose, that's all that people look at is the record. But just trying to string a couple wins together. Win this fight, enjoy the summer, get back to it in the fall or the winter, end the year off strong with 2 wins, and just keep that momentum going forward. Keep building the skill set, and just again, proving my worth, proving that I deserve to be here, proving that I'm deserving the money that they're paying me, and not even just for them, but proving it to myself, proving it to the fans and all that, and just trying to make some bigger statements this year. Keep it up, hopefully with the finishes, and
Well, Chase, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this again.
Yeah, thanks. Great talking to you.
All right, we're joined by Houston Alexander, who's headlining BKFC 43 in a couple weeks. Houston, how's it going, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing, Cole? We're finally online now.
Yeah, we did a couple.
Damn technology, all this information, and I'm still having a problem with this stupid Samsung phone. But no, not stupid, but it's good phone.
Obviously, we talked after your last fight, knocking out Joey. We both kind of thought a title shot could come next. Are you surprised that it isn't a title shot then for you?
Man, I'm not worried. I'm not worried too much about a title shot right now. I think we were just mainly worried about just taking it, doing the cliche thing, one fight at a time. Because winning solves everything, I was told. So you just keep winning, and you be put in a position where you'll be in that position eventually. You can't be denied.
And then your opponent, Jeremy Smith, like how familiar were you with him when you got offered him?
Not too familiar. I'm not familiar with a lot of these guys that have been coming up after a lot of the old school guys. But from what I see, man, he's athletic guy. A lot of these guys that are out there right now are pretty powerful, and especially today's MMA, boxing, and a little bit of everything. So a lot of people are very knowledgeable about MMA and boxing and all those different types of martial arts.
For you, like UFC stopped MMA 2017, came back and did bare knuckle, and obviously since then 3-0. Like, what's kind of been the change for you? Like, because you're looking like incredible, like now, especially bare knuckle. Like, is it just the easier stress of not having to do MMA training, or like what has kind of been the difference?
Oh, I think at this point in my career, I think I'm just having fun, and I keep saying that in all these different interviews, but I think the intensity of fighting what overshadows the reason why we're in there in the first place, because we love doing it. It's fun, and I think right now I'm having fun doing it, man, and no pressure, and plus, to me, bare knuckle is just boxing. It's just another word for boxing. Without gloves. So and me, I'm probably one of the best at these. at boxing. So, there's no takedowns, no kicking, no elbows. Guess what? It's mano a mano, me and you, and I'm one of the best in the world at this. And as you can see, from a lot of fighters who are trying to transition to this, the boxing is getting exposed.
And then with Jeremy, like 3-0 and BKFC, like coming off a knockout, like, what have you kind of made of his run if you've kind of looked into him at all?
Oh man, again, I haven't really studied a lot of people, man. Again, and if he's in this sport and he's undefeated right now, he got to be pretty damn good, So and especially with this type of sport, it's heads up, it's head on, and it's straight at you. So this guy, he has to be an athletic or a good athlete for him to be 3-0.
And then headlining a card, like you've been a part of a lot of big events in the UFC, Bellator, and everywhere, but like being the main event, like obviously second straight one for you. Like, what is that like for you to be the main event of these events?
It's fun, man, and it's fun. I'm glad to be headlining at my age still, and that's just a testament of all the training we've done over the years, because I've not gotten hurt in any type of major way, and from me taking care of my body and me taking care of myself mentally and physically, I think I'm able to be in this position right now where we're still competing at a high level.
Do you think like because of bare knuckle and like just having to worry about striking and not having to train like wrestling and jiu-jitsu, like that's allowed you to continue to fight this late in your career?
Are you saying the training allowing me
to because like you don't have to focus on like jiu-jitsu and wrestling, where you see a lot of like MMA guys like not be able to go this late in their career, like just because all the wear and tear of that training.
Well, I think it has been, the difference in changing up the training now, because I see a lot of people online training the wrong way for bare knuckle. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And it's weird because again, you have to concentrate on getting in the ring and getting your pad rounds in and your boxing rounds in. And I think there's a different way of doing bare knuckle, and there's a different mind state, and there's a different way of training with this bare knuckle, man. Because if you're not being told to do the right things from your coaches or from when you're training, one strike, one hit, and bare knuckle, and you're out. So you gotta train different.
And then back in Nebraska as well, like same place the Beltran fight. Like, how exciting is that for you to fight at home in Nebraska?
It's always cool because for a long time, a lot of the fans were asking me, "Hey man, when can I see you fight in person?" Now now that we're trying to get this getting bare knuckle established in Nebraska. This is a good way to do it. Why not with a guy who's been proven and who's been in it for a while and who has a good fan base. So it's great to be in Nebraska doing it, especially in Omaha with all the people that have been wanting to see me.
Does that add any pressure to you of like fighting at home and like everyone kind of hitting you up and like telling you they're going to be there?
You know what? I think if I have not handled the pressure this far into my career, I might as well be a rookie. But I know what to do. And it's funny, Cole, because the last fight, I ended up right before the fight, I ended up going home and watching TV before my fight. I literally end up going home, watching a little TV, relaxing, and then an hour after that, I came in and had to fight.
With this,
that's the first time I told somebody that too.
Is like you left the arena then? And
I left the arena, got in my car, went home, sat there and watched TV, relaxed a little bit, and when they said it was time to come back, I got in my car, drove back. An hour later, we were in the ring.
Was anyone like giving you like funny looks? Like, what the hell are you doing?
You said what?
Like, was anyone giving you like funny looks or like asking what you were doing when you're just leaving?
No, because first of all, they said, hey, just make sure you're back at this time. And so I just utilized my time to relax, man. You gotta relax before a fight. You can't be all tense and you just gotta relax and go in there and knowing you're already ready to go.
Your fights in bare knuckle haven't been lasting too long. So like, how do you kind of see this one playing out?
Oh man, like all these bare knuckles, a lot of the bare knuckles aren't going out of the second round. So I'm expecting. Again, I'm going straight for you, and for what I see with Jeremy as well, he comes straight forward too. So something's got to give. You got all that energy coming together, and something's got to give. Go.
Do you think like since you've been part of bare knuckle, like every event have just been kind of getting bigger and bigger and like more attention on it? Like I think, like I remember talking to David like when he was like just starting it, and there wasn't much coverage, there wasn't much attention, and now it seems like it is coming to getting more in the mainstream. More people are kind of paying attention to bare
When
knuckle.
you got Conor McGregor, coming to your event, whatever the situation was where he showed up, that's a good thing, and right now people are seeing how exciting this is, there's you're towing the line, you're in the middle of the ring, you're not opposite ends of the ring where you're coming in, the action is immediately, and I think that's what's attracting a lot of people. I think what it is. I think it's and this is weird, but it's like being in the on the playground when meeting the bully at 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. after school. Hey, everyone's anticipating all day long that you guys are meeting at 3 o'clock out in the playground, and who doesn't love when two guys get them up, or two women get them up? So that that's the mentality, man. People love when people bang it out and don't play around. It's time to just bang.
Say you go out there and do knockout Jeremy, like, do you still not care if the title shot's next, or is it still just kind of whatever they give you?
Again, as I was told before by coaches and by people been surrounding me over the years, keep winning and everything falls in place. So,
say you do get a title shot and like win it, like what do you think that does for your legacy, like becoming a champion this late in your career?
that man, again, I've had a great career, and whether wins or losses, Cole, I've had a good career. If I go back, I traveled. I've been around good people, and I've had some great losses. I've had some disappointing losses, but that's part of life. To me, my career reflects my life. Whether it's been good or bad, you keep moving forward and you keep doing what you would love to do. Man, I love combat sport, and if I'm able to do it, I'm going to continue to do it. But I'm not a dummy. I know Father Time is undefeated. But at this point, as long as I'm taking care of myself and I'm still competing at a high level, I'm just glad to be in this position that I'm in, to be even talking to you. Mm-hmm. Because if I wasn't in a position, would I be talking to you in the first place?
And just a couple more things too is like with your career, like you fought UFC, Bellator, like KSW, you fought a lot of these known guys. Like, is there a moment or fight that kind of sticks out as one of your favorites?
Oh man, believe it or not, the Kimbo fight, because I believe even back then, we stuck to a game plan. We had a game plan and we stuck to it. But unfortunately, it's what's weird is back then they didn't count kicks as strikes. Mm-hmm. Cole, what are they doing now in 2023?
A lot of kicks, a lot of leg kicks when you fight.
A lot of leg kicks that are being counted as what?
Yeah. Strikes.
So I think the education has gotten better over the years with the judges. And back then, I don't believe they knew, like, man, these leg kicks are effective. And I think that was one of my favorite fights because we stuck to a game plan. And, it was unfortunate that, that it happened to where we lost, but we don't think we lost. But I think it's one of the standout ones that stand out to me.
Do you think like that Kimbo fight, like, is that still one people come up and ask you about? Because like he's kind of one of those guys. Like,
they always ask me about that. Like, man, does he hit it? No, rest in peace to Kimbo, but he didn't hit hard. Not to me, because I'm so used to getting hit, and not like other guys from the backyard. But he hit me. He might have hit me clean maybe 2 or 3 times that whole entire fight. Mm-hmm. That's how awkward that fight was. It was just an awkward fight because I kicked him more. I kicked him maybe 100 times, He might have hit me maybe once or twice. But if you go back and watch that fight, our game plan was to kick Kimbo, and he was supposed to rush me. And what I was going to do, because we saw an opening where this elbow was going to go across his face, and he never bit. Mm-hmm. He stood there while I kicked him. And so if you look at it, I think it was the last round of that fight, I hit him with that elbow. Mm-hmm. Same elbow we was trying to get him in at the beginning of the fight. So, but it's still one of my favorite fights, brother.
Yeah, because like Kimbo's one of those guys, like even when I'm just hanging out with my friends and there's like nothing to do, they always just throw on like his fights on YouTube, and it's just like because no matter who he fought or when, like every single one of his fights was exciting.
Think about it, man. The bare knuckle thing, they was already banging like that, in Florida. But here's the thing: this sport goes back to the old days when you had to put them hands up, and so it's just crazy to see that it's gotten this popular more so because of promotion, because the promotion's been doing a good job of promoting it, and I think it's it has a future in it, man. But again, it's just crazy to see how fast it's growing because it's exciting though, and it's not boring.
Well, just last thing then, like, have you kind of thought how much longer you got in this? Or you still just kind of taking it one fight at a time and
one fight at a time, brother? Again, I'm not. Let me knock on some wood because I'm not hurt. And as long as I'm in good shape, and as long as I can compete at a high level, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it as long as I can because that's how much I love combat sports. And I'm sure any guy my age would love to be in the position that I'm in. Mm-hmm. I just say, I just got good genetics, fellas. Yeah, get it from my mama.
Well, Houston, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
Hey man, let's see now. You gotta screenshot because are you on your phone or computer?
Computer.
Well, I don't know if you can screenshot it. You can screenshot this, but I'm gonna take this picture because I always love promoting it in some type of way. Promoting us, and look at that. Boom. So I finally got online and got you because again, I was having a rough time with this phone yesterday because I was training and trying to get online with you yesterday. That's what happens.
Yeah, all good. Well, I appreciate the time though, as always.
Oh man, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
All right, we're joined by Loopy Godinez, who's already back in action. Loopy, how's it going?
Really good. How you doing?
I'm well. Like, I know when we talked after your last fight, we were talking about maybe the Vancouver card. Like, are you surprised that you're fighting even sooner than that? Because that seemed like a pretty quick turnaround going to Vancouver.
Yeah, like they were asking me about Vancouver, and I even say like in some interviews, like, oh, I don't think so. Maybe I need like a full camp, to keep, like going up and blah, 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 and all of that stuff, right? But then I get the message, and then I was training, and then I was like, I'm feeling so good. So then I was thinking like, oh my gosh, I want to be in the Vancouver card, but then I didn't ask or anything. I was like, if something happens, I'm just going to train, right? And I was feeling good. And then I get this message, and then it's like, would you like to fight, May 20th? And then I'm like, my head was doing this, but I was already typing yes and sending it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're ready. I had a long camp for Calvillo, so it was just a matter of, game planning for this one, and just keep training how I've been doing it, and honestly, I feel so good.
You mentioned like there was a bit of hesitancy. Like, did you talk to your coaches, and after kind of talking with them, did they kind of give you that green light to take this fight then?
I didn't really like tell anyone. I just
and then 120 as well. Was that just imagine on your end, just so you didn't have to cut that extra 5 pounds?
Yeah, it's just like, I'm not super big or anything like that. It's just like, okay, I'll take a short notice fight, but at the same time, okay, I can do it, but also I 120 is like that way. These two weeks that are left, that because I just took the fight like a few days ago, it's just about eating good and training hard, right? Like that way I don't have to deplete myself or anything. It's just like it's all about performing, right? So I want to make sure with that.
And then Emily Ducote, like how familiar are you with her?
I saw her Angela Hill when she fought Angela Hill, um, and that's the only one. That's the only fight I kind of watched before they give me her name. And I mean, I knew who she was and all of that, but now I watch a few more of her fights, and I think it's a game, a great fight for me.
You've taken a lot of short notice fights in your career, especially in the UFC. Like, how beneficial is that, where you kind of know what you need to do in that kind of short period of time and train for a fight?
Yeah, I love it. It's actually like I really enjoy it. It's just like a chaos. I'm like, it's like, oh my, okay, yeah. And then you look at the calendar. It's like, oh my god, it's only 2 weeks or a week and a half or whatever, right? So I deal good with it. I have dealt with so many different situations in my life that leads me to be comfortable in situations like chaos, right? So I feel great. As long as I'm training and my body is healthy, like I can do whatever.
Do you prefer short notice fights then? Like, it almost seems like you enjoy kind of like that chaos of just like 2-3 weeks to kind of get ready and not a whole lot of time to think about a fight.
Yeah, like I do enjoy them just because there is no like a whole thing to like there is no time to get nervous, there is nothing to think about anything. You just go, 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 and then you gotta do it, right? But of course it's nice to have full training camps, right? Because like look, like I had three months training camp for Calvillo, and now I had the opportunity to take this one like this, not even hesitating or anything. Not that I never hesitated really, but it's just like I put 3 months already, and it's just like I had a week off or whatever. I was back to training hard, so it's like okay, 3 months, two fights. That now we're talking.
A bit disappointed. It's just at the Apex then, or I guess because it's short notice, like you don't have a whole lot to say.
I don't care. I'll
Yeah.
fight anywhere. That's not something like. Of course, it's cool that when it's a big car and like big, like all the people around and all the chaos there. But honestly, it's the same. Like I'm doing the same thing. I'm walking out. I'm in the cage, and I'm gonna fight, right? And then that's it. It's the same thing.
I know one of your training partners and Jamie Lynn got the UFC call and got the win. Like, what was that like for you to kind of see her to finally get that UFC call and get the win?
Yeah, I was so happy. Like it was about time for her to join the UFC. Like when I got the call, like I think it's like a year and a half ago or 2 years now. Uh, like it was like okay, she should be in there pretty soon here. Like, but it took this long, and then she got the LFA, and she had some things to deal with too. But like finally, she's in the UFC, and I'm so happy for her. And it's like, she deserves that, and now I was training with her yesterday, and she's like, like we're the only two UFC fighters in town, right? And then I was like, oh my god, that's crazy! Like that's pretty cool.
Do you worry about like burning out or anything? Just like having back-to-back camps like this, or is that something like you're just kind of always in the gym anyway, so you'd be training regardless?
Oh, I'll be training regardless.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I don't do anything else. I don't have a job like other than fighting. I don't have I don't do anything. All I do, this is my routine. I wake up, I go training, I take my dog out, and then I go back to training, eat, sleep, rest, and then visit my family and do it again. That's my life.
How do you kind of see this one playing out then with you and Emily?
I'm excited for this matchup. I think uh, we have a really good game plan, and I'm excited to execute that.
And then you get past Emily. Like, where do you think this puts you in this division?
Honestly, I haven't even thought about that. I'm just so excited to get in there and fight and do what I love to do. And yeah, I'm just here waiting. I can honestly, I wish the fight was tomorrow.
And then already your second fight of the year. So, like, what is kind of the goal then for you this year? Because it looked like it was going to be a slower year after not fighting till April, but there you are, like two already by the end of May.
Yeah, like I would like to fight another 2 times this year. That would be great. But you never know. Maybe three, or who knows? If there is something happens in the UFC card, I can jump in. I'll be ready. I'm always training, and that's it. This is my job.
I know you sometimes you go down to Mexico to fights, but are you gonna stick around Vancouver just to be in attendance in that card then?
Yeah, I'll be here because I wanna, Irene is
Yeah.
fighting. I'll probably go to Mexico after she fights. But yeah, for now I'll stay here and wait for them to come here and like show them Vancouver and enjoy. Is there time to come here? And I'll go there.
What's that been like for you, seeing obviously Irene get the title shot, like Alexa become the champion, like girls you kind of grew up training with for a while?
Oh, it's so good. It gives me so much motivation. I'm like, I this is no surprise to me to see them, have these opportunities, and now, Alexa the champ. It's no, I'm not surprised by it. Like, I honestly, like, when Alexa was gonna fight, I'm like, like people will ask me, you think she's gonna do it? I'm like, yeah, and then they will ask me, should I put money? I'm like, I don't want to tell you to put money. Thing like that's not my thing, but I just know that she's gonna win. And yeah, message me, like people will message me, oh my god, you were right, And then same thing with Irene, like I do believe she's gonna get the belt.
And it would be crazy for like both them to become champions, and both them kind of defeated like the top two like women's fighters of all time, and like people that thought were unbeatable, and like they both got to do it against those two.
Yeah, exactly. And they work so hard. They go like a great coach. So yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm really happy for them. And Mexico, is like a great opportunity to show, everyone that you can do it no matter where you are. But if you're persistent and you're a hard worker, like you can make anything possible.
And I think if Irene becomes a champion, like a Mexico card like has to happen soon, like with Alexa, Yair, like yourself, Irene, like they could have a Brandon, they could have a full main card of like just like 3 titles, like quite a few big names on it as well.
Yeah, I think it will be a great car, actually. Yeah. I don't know if this year is happening, but definitely I will think they're working on something for next year.
Well, Loopy, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're joined by UFC strawweight Vanessa Demopolis, who's back in action on May 20th. Vanessa, how's it going?
Doing awesome. I'm having a great day today. How are you?
I'm doing well. A big fight here, like a former title challenger. Like, how excited were you when you found out you'd be fighting Carolina?
I was pumped. I'm really looking forward to this one. Like you said, she's a previous title contender, and she was, I believe, like number 3, number 2 at one point. So this is a really awesome fight for me to be able to showcase some skills.
And then on a 3-fight winning streak too, like how much, like what's your confidence like going to this one? Like obviously you lost your debut, but like since then, like you've seen like a completely different fighter your last couple of fights.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I mean, it's my confidence doesn't come from being on a 3-fight win streak because I've had successes before, and then I've also fallen short at times too. But it comes from all of the work that I do in the gym. It comes from just like the years of training. I don't take time off in between camps. I'm constantly staying in the gym, working and improving in between time. So then when the time comes for me to step into that cage, like I just know myself really, really well. And I think it's pretty hard to not be confident when you work as hard as I do.
Were you surprised it's been this long? Like obviously you fought middle of November. Like were you hoping to return a bit sooner?
I was, and then some unfortunate circumstances ended up happening with my previous gym over at Fight Ready in Phoenix, Arizona. And then recently I've now moved to Denver, Colorado, and I'm out of Factory X now. So, I needed a little bit of time in between while I adjusted to a new camp and new coaches.
Obviously there's hundreds of gyms out there. What kind of drew you to Factory X then?
The family feel that they have over there. Mark Montoya is just such an amazing coach. He's really, systematic in the way that he teaches things. He really understands me as an athlete. He puts his time into teaching me very specifically the way that I learn as a student. He teaches all of us just so individually, and that really drew me to that gym.
And then with like changing gyms, like getting a different look as a coach, like how much better do you think you are going to be? Because obviously they can kind of see things that maybe you and your past coaches haven't saw in yourself.
Yeah, it's amazing. I feel so much more of a refreshed athlete being here. My striking game has improved tremendously. The aggression that they have at that gym, the work ethic that they bring to the table, everything about being here in Denver is just truly elevated. And I'm really looking forward to being able to showcase that.
And then training in elevation as well. How much do you think that's going to help your cardio in these fights then?
I'm excited to find out because I was already a cardio monster previously. So now I've had elevation training and resistance with that. Yes, I can't wait to step into this cage.
Who's going to be in your corner then for this one?
I mean, Mark Montoya is absolutely going to be in my corner. Yeah. And I'm going to have Alex Hernandez there as well, who's also a UFC vet. And Yusuf Zalal, who has been in the UFC himself. So it's a good feel.
Are those kind of the guys you've been working with, or who are the main people you're training with then?
Yep.
Yeah. What's that like for you then? Because obviously you go from Fight Ready, which has a ton of bodies, then Factory X might have even more UFC fighters. Like it's pretty close and like a lot of smaller as well. So, so there's lots of bodies like that are small that you can work with that are guys as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the same, like when it comes to that and bodies and everything, it's pretty mirror amongst the two gyms. There aren't as many females in either gym, but I do have more females working over at Factory X than I did over at Fight Ready. And but a lot of the men, like you said, like we have a good like 205 185er bracket up there, and then there's also like a lot of the 35ers and 25ers as well. So it's like not a lot of the in between, but we got good a good spread on both sides of the rosters right there.
With Carolina, like what have you kind of made of her recent run? Like she had that losing streak, like I think it was 4 or 5 in a row, but then she's picked up 2 straight wins.
I mean, good for her. I know that she's had a little bit of like refresh now going over to ATT in Miami, and and now I get the opportunity to fight her because she's been doing so well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this new athlete breed kind of brings to the table for myself.
How much do you look at her last fight? Because obviously she fought Silvana, who is someone you fought, like just to kind of see how she fought her compared to how you'd fought her.
What's the question?
Like how often do you look at that fight just to kind of see what she did against Silvana compared to what you did?
Studying. Yeah. I mean, she's tough, and that's something that we know about Carolina is obviously she didn't get here from not being tough, but Silvana has quite the right hand. Most of her fight wins were finishes and knockouts. And she hit Carolina quite a few times, and Carolina just ate all of that. So we know that she's tough, and that's really awesome that she was able to kind of pull forward and not only win, but kind of beat Silvana out of the division, which is major.
I think Carolina is going to be a bit taller than you and a bit longer of a reach, which is nothing new for you. So, like, how do you think that impacts the fight at all? I'm
little, man. Yeah. I ain't never been tall. I don't think I've ever been taller than any of my opponents. So that's not really a factor for me, that's not news. That's not like, I feel like it would be different if I was of average size and most people were like, some people were shorter, some people were taller, but it's like, I fought girls that were like just about 6 foot before. And you just find a way to kind of do what it is that you want to do.
Yeah, your last opponent was like pretty tall. And,
she had a 10-inch reach advantage on me. So we found a way.
With Carolina, like a very good striker, we did see her go down to the ground and submit Felice. Like, but with how good your grappling is, like, do you think she's going to try to avoid that with you and just go back to kind of her roots of striking?
I mean, we don't know. Carolina she is also a martial artist. She's an MMA fighter. And I know that over at ATT, they do have a lot of grapplers over there. So maybe she's gained some confidence on the ground. Maybe she thinks that that's a good game plan for her. We'll see.
A bit disappointed just at the Apex.
Yes. All of my fights have been at the Apex with the exception of Silvana, which was supposed to be at the Apex. And then something happened. I believe she had caught COVID and they pushed the fight back. And thank goodness I got to jump into Joe Rogan's arms after that fight. But all of my fights have been at the Apex. I'm like, all right, guys, like, it's okay. I'll keep earning my keep and continue to showcase that I am worthy of being on the main card, and I am worthy of being in front of an audience.
Yeah, because it's not like your fights are like boring or anything. All your fights have been pretty entertaining. Where like I think they'd want it in front of fans.
I mean, I want to be in front of the fans.
With Carolina, like pretty durable girl, like other than Andrade, like no one's really ever been put her out other than submissions. Like, how do you kind of see it playing out?
Well, I am extremely powerful. So I do know that I also possess knockout power, as well as my grappling skills are very superior. I am, professional jiu-jitsu player.
Mhm.
I'm not just a black belt. I'm somebody who has been doing submission only since submission only was a thing. So it's pretty hard to see this fight and like going all the way to a decision, but you never know. I look forward to ending things.
What do you think a win over Carolina does for you? Because like, although she's not in the rankings now, like you look at kind of the girls that beat her, it's a lot of former champions or like girls that are in the top 10 in the division.
Yeah, which is exactly why I look forward to this fight, because Carolina has been kind of that, a little bit of a gatekeeper to the division, and being able to kind of get into the rankings. So I look forward to being able to prove myself worthy of being in the top 15.
Just final thing, then just kind of building off that, like what is kind of the goal then for you this year?
I break the rankings, number one, and then have it. I mean, I really want to stay active, now that I'm at a new place and I'm very settled in, and I'm loving Denver. So I look forward to stepping back into the cage very soon after this next fight.
Well, Vanessa, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
Hey, you're amazing. Thank you.